Pregame.com.
Pregame.tv special bonus coverage college football action. Cantor Gaming released 2 of their season win numbers for college football for our local teams. Reno opened 7, UNLV opened 4.5. UNLV been bet heavily to the over, now minus 185 on the over. Reno bet heavily to the under, minus 190, under 7. I'm going to talk about UNLV, their season prospects, Bobby Hauck's team. Bryan Leonard, I saw this number, and I just bombed away on the over. I thought it was one of the best bets of the year.
Unless I heard wrong, I think you said 4.5. I just want to clarify. They opened it up 2.5.
They opened 2.5. I misspoke. I would have opened at 4.5, but yes, 2.5. Thank you. I misspoke on that, and it's because I'm thinking about what it should have been, not what it actually was.
I don't know if I'd have made it 4.5. Well, right now it's what, minus 190 or something in that range?
Right. Over 2.5 minus 190.
So basically, you're looking at 3.5, correct?
More like 3. Like
3.25.
Like 50 cents is what a half game's worth in the NFL. But in college, it's worth a lot more.
It's more. It's more. I consider it more of a 3.5. 3.25 doesn't matter. He's got to win the 4. My concern, I got 2 concerns here. Number 1 is they got 18 returning starters. They got 18 returning starters on a team that won 2 football games the prior year. A lot of guys will look at that and they said, well, these teams are coming back. The UABs have got 18 coming back. This team has got 18. This team, you got 18 guys that won 2 games the year before. Is that a positive?
Yes. And here's why. Mike Sanford, when he was coaching the Rebels, they won 2 games. In his 4th and 5th years, they won 5 and 5. Now, under Bobby Hauck, 2 games, with a very tough schedule, games like Wisconsin and teams like that. And similar to Sanford, he got massively unlucky, lost a lot of close games they really, really should have won. They lost to a Division I AA team last year. They had Wyoming beat. They blew the game. They really could have beaten Minnesota last year at home. They've been losing a lot of close games. One thing that's curious about UNLV and all those 2-win seasons, every year they have like a blowout win where they beat somebody decent, like a Hawaii or a Fresno or somebody by like 25 points out of nowhere, and they get 1 close win, and seemingly they get 3 close losses each and every year, and they finally have a quarterback with Sherry here. I really think that, what's interesting, Brian, is that if I had to make a number on them, I would have made it 4.5. And every year, I'm no homer, I've been betting against UNLV like the past 10 years and cashing tickets. But here, I really thought, I saw that number, I couldn't believe it, and I know that I've got some contacts. They let me know Bobby Hauck is as high on this team as he ever has been. Now, sometimes you get that coach speak and you got a grain of salt, but he really likes his team. He's got his guys in there. They feel they've underachieved. And I'm looking at the schedule, and they've got 3 games. They don't have 1 sure loss on their schedule. They're at Minnesota, where they're 15-point dog. They're at Fresno. They're at Air Force. All those are going to be very tough games. They'll probably be 15-point dogs in all of them. But they've got a home games against Central Michigan. They're going to lay 5, and a home game against Western Illinois, where I assume they're going to be laying double digits. And then they got a whole bunch of games against not very good teams, and it wouldn't surprise me if they go to a bowl game and they actually win 6. I think, and RJ and I were talking about this, I think it's a 90% play to go over 2.5. I really do. And my math here is that I think the number should be 4.5. I think they have about a 20% chance to win, a little more than 20% chance to win exactly 4, a little less than a 20% chance to win exactly 3. You add those 2 20%, there's a 40% probability block right there. You grab that 2.5. Now you just turned a 52% bet into a 92% bet, in my opinion.
I will give you that they have better depth now than they have had in the past. And that's when you're at a level that UNLV is right now, it's not your starters. It's the guys that you bring in, because you go through the season, you're going to have injuries. And we've seen this out of the quarterback position for UNLV. We'll start the year. I mean, I can't remember the kid's name, but he was up for a Heisman Trophy consideration before the season started. He goes down, and all of a sudden, they're not a good football team. Now they're starting to build up to that. They're getting bigger kids. They're getting stronger kids. I think the coach is doing a great job. And I know there's been talk that if he doesn't win 6 games, he's out of here. That's unrealistic, in my opinion. I think if they win 4 games and they're competitive, you bring them back 1 more year.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And, one thing, too, as far as I always feel better when I get other opinions. And so I had my opinion. I think UNLV can win 5 games. But then I went ahead and looked at Phil Steele, and in his publication, he's got them forecast, and he's a notorious homer. He wants to sell magazines. I'd be a homer, too, where he writes positive things. But he actually, in his projection, he has UNLV only being outscored by 2 points per game based upon his power ratings. Only 2 points. That's like a 5 and 7 type of team.
Well, I hate to cut you. I'm sorry to cut you off. The problem you got with UNLV is you don't get a lot of fans here in Las Vegas. Most of the people in town don't care about UNLV football. They just have not been good for very long. They care about basketball. The only people that are going to the games are our friends that happen to have season tickets because their wives work for UNLV, those kind of people. We're not getting together and saying, hey, we wouldn't do it anyway because we're handicapping. But our friends aren't calling us up and say, hey, I'm going to go to the UNLV game. Do you want to go? We do that for basketball. We never do that for football. So they don't have a very good home field advantage. And to be totally honest with you, they are terrible when they go on the road, which is one of the reasons why I laid the 13 with UNLV, with Minnesota against UNLV in that.
I'm going to take your raise. I'm going to re-raise and push all in.
All right.
I totally disagree. UNLV has one of the most massive home field advantages of any team. When you look at their home, like you said, they're terrible on the road. They're great at home. They got 7 home games, and here's why. Because what's happening is that when people come here to play UNLV in basketball, they get sky high to play in the Thomas and Mack. This is a huge game. Like when Air Force and other guys come in, they consistently cover. But when you come to Vegas, it's a party. When you're from Wisconsin or from wherever else, you're going, you're traveling, your family members are going, the team members are going, the mascots going, the cheerleaders are going. It's a big party. The coaches, and that's why these teams have historically massively underachieved. Plus, it's not easy to get out to that stadium out there. And also, the arid desert is not good for teams from sea level. That throws off your whole systems and everything else. And if you look at the against the spread record, no team has done as well as UNLV. I mean, they're like Alabama-esque in terms of their against the spread record, even with the anemic straight-up record.
That was a good point, but I do want to add to that. When you get teams in here, and there's not very many good teams in our division, in our conference, especially that keep getting rated and going to other conferences. When a New Mexico comes in, teams of that ilk, they are not in here to party. They're in here to say, this is our 1 or 2 win that we're going to have all year long. Air Force is a team. You're not going to get Air Force.
Air Force always takes care of business. That's the.
But if you get a Boise that comes in, that kind of team, a Fresno that comes in, they play the bigger games. They play the Ohio States. They play Big Ten teams. They come in. That's when UNLV is at their best.
Minnesota, a Big Ten team that's looking past, no doubt. And it's really true that no doubt there's a video being done right now in New Mexico, and another one's being done, in Hawaii, and they're saying, well, we're going to win this game, in terms of how many games they're going to win. But
and it's almost a home game here for Hawaii. That's one of their biggest crowds of the year. There's a lot of Hawaii. They call it the Sixth Island, or I don't even know how many islands there are.
If you go down to the California hotel, that's always central.
That's right.
That's like right. Hawaii Central, so that's absolutely the case. And probably the most compelling reason that I can give for betting this is that the LVH always values UNLV to be strong. And when Jay Kornegay and his folks make the numbers, they don't care what Cantor deals. They're like, our odds makers are better than anybody in the world. If we think they should be 5, we're putting up a 5, and we don't care. So it wouldn't surprise me if I don't get that 4.5 or even that 5 on UNLV and come back under with a massive middle. And I think that, and once they put up 5, that 2.5 number is just going to go through the roof, because people, there are some people that just do nothing but bet arbitrage bets, but they don't originate. They need to see someone else put a number up.
And to give Jay all the credit in the world, that's one of the places that I don't do well in. Probably I have worse luck there. The win, actually, I don't win against their openers, even though I got great.
The Sunday 2 o'clock.
I get great numbers. I'm winning. I can't. They're doing a hell of a job because they're beating me on those.
I get some good comps. The win's a great place to eat dinner. So what if you lose all your bets? Let me go ahead and make this one official if I can. UNLV Rebels over 2.5 wins. I love the Cantor books. So this one opened actually plus 110 on UNLV over. Now they're minus 185. I think it's a 90% bet, and I think this is one of those bets you're going to win before the season starts, because when you look at the closing number on this sucker, by August 28th, this is going to be, if that 2.5 stays, I really think it's going to be over 2.5, lay 300. Everyone's going to see what I see when they read all these publications, and some other places actually put this number up. So I think absolutely, I think this is the first time I've ever said this. I really feel it's a 90% play. I don't care. I'm laying $1.85. Heck, Bryan wants to lay $2.20 on the crappy Los Angeles, Anaheim, Newport Beach, Seal Beach Angels. I'm going to lay $1.85 on the over 2.5 UNLV. I think we cash it by Halloween. It is my best bet.
I do want to point out also, we talked about the value of a half a win or a full win in college football. It differs based on the team. I mean, you're playing 12 games or whatever. The number 6 obviously has a different value than a number 2.
Well, and especially with this, because they got a schedule where there's a lot of games, swing games could go either way. So it's probably only worth about 60 cents to go on or off a half game versus an Alabama or an LSU type, a team that's supposed to win 9.5 or 10 games. They're basically playing a 4-game schedule.
Your variance on a team like that or an Alabama or an LSU is very small, whereas opposed to a team like a Fresno or something, which I think is going to be a very good team this year, and they're going to be laying more than 15 at home, I believe, to UNLV.
Could well be. Could absolutely well be. Good points. Thanks for being with us here, pregame.tv. This video will be up along with those Golden Nugget games of the year. We'll keep you updated on this. We'll probably do maybe we'll do a video in August and update where that number's gone and any injuries or anything that's going on with our local Rebels. And we all are. It's nice to support the team. I tell you, it's nice to be rooting for my home team and for a coach. I have a lot of respect for Bobby Hauck. And I really hope things go well this year because we all want to get the Rebel football program back on track. Keep checking out the videos here, pregame.tv. And Bryan Leonard, VR will be back next week. And thanks for filling in with the bulk of the baseball talk, and always a good time.
At least I didn't have to talk any hockey today.
Under. Play under in the series in all the finals.
Bet the over.
Every sport under in the NBA and the NHL as they get deeper and the games get more important. Excellent. Good work.